the morning, in the evening, there is a feeling I'm receiving. When you wake up, yeah, what is your reason? Cause I'm feeling good throughout the season. When I'm feeling low, it brings me up. Everywhere I go, I'm filled with love, yeah. If they talk, we all let them talk. Push forward, yeah, we don't look back. This a vibe that you cannot stop. Cause we do it for the love. It keeps my heart feeling full.
Let's go. This is Trey Lover from Love and Fashion, and this is Voices of Sickle Cell. This platform is going to be utilized to bring attention to things that take place within the sickle cell community. We're going to be talking about things that take place at school, at work, at home, and in the hospitals. There are too many topics that are kept in secret inside of a community that is not being brought to light. And we want to utilize our platform to bring attention to some of the great things and developments happening in the sickle cell community, but also bring attention to some of the malfeasance that are taking place so we can work on rectifying them. Because patients of all background need to be treated fairly. But right now, we're going to focus on how patients with sickle cell are being treated in the hospital. And for our first episode today of Voices of Sickle Cell, I got my guy, I got my bro, I got the dude right here. My guy is Zaron. What is going on?
Hey man, how you doing, Trey? How's everything going?
You know what? My favorite thing I tell people when they ask me that is that I'm alive. I'm above
Hmm.
ground. Because no matter what it is that we could be going through, I didn't have to be here today. So I'm thankful for it. I'm thankful for my legs being in pain right now because I didn't have to have legs. I want the world to understand. Let's be thankful for everything, no matter how minuscule it is. So I'm great, my brother.
That's definitely one motto I stick to. Whenever I'm feeling down, somebody always got it worse. That's the first thought that pop into my head. So I don't beat myself up over things. But I'm doing all right as well, though. I can't complain for the most part. Today's a good day.
Mm.
Snow on the floor, but that ain't bothering me too much.
I don't know what it is though. I love the beautiful look of snow on the floor. Although I can't stand the cold, especially as a warrior, because I'm in the hospital with that nonsense, it's still such a
Same.
beautiful sight, isn't it?
I feel the same way. I love snow. I want to go snowboarding, but snow
Yeah,
first.
yeah, certain limitations. Now,
Hmm.
I want you to take a few, let's say, take a couple of seconds, tell people a little bit about you. Certain things I want you to tell them, let them know the type of sickle cell that you have. If you can recall, when did you start having your first crises? Because some people start at different ages. And just tell them a quick something about you so they can understand the world of Zarin.
Okay, so first and foremost, my name is Zaron. I have sickle cell SS. I was diagnosed at birth, and I believe my first crisis was at birth because I needed a blood transfusion. It was very complicated. I've had a Muslim father and a Jehovah's Witness mother. So when religion played a part, definitely when it came to my health. But for sure, they put my health first. That's first. Um, I'm 33 years old. I've been suffering with sickle cell all my life. Developed a lot of different complications due to it, but I got to get through it. Whatever. Um, Lastly, being a formerly incarcerated individual, I've worked my way up as a youth mentor. Um, that gave me a perspective and wanted to create a business, a corporation that revolves around a staffing agency. Catering to people with felonies, youth 16 to 24. Eventually, I will get contracts, with governments and states. Therefore, I can be able to promote this business much more widely. But in the meantime, I'm currently in school as a medical assistant for medical coding and bidding. And it's a drag, but I'm gonna get through it. That's gonna be the income to get the business off the ground. So, what
Brother,
more can I say, man? Just gotta get through it.
brother, it doesn't sound like sickle cell is stopping you, bro. I'm gonna utilize the good with the bad. All right, I'm gonna put a little bit. I'm gonna put it together. So
Sure.
you're a peer mentor after coming out of being incarcerated. So I don't know the backstory of your incarceration, but if the accusations in any sense were some kind of truth, that means you had to be putting in some kind of work. And as an individual with sickle cell, that isn't an easy task to be putting in work, or depending on what it is, while still having to combat potentially going through a crisis. That's a whole different level of strength. 'Cause things can go left for you just like that. And still
I can
overcoming.
attest to that for
There we go.
sure.
And still overcoming adversity and wanting to give back and starting programs where you can hire people that have quote unquote negative backgrounds and give them a chance to come back into society and make a difference, which is what you're doing yourself. And no part of that is showing me that sickle cell has stopped you. So congratulations to that.
I appreciate that, but let me speak on the roadblocks real quick. Coming out of high school, I didn't go straight into college. Did the security guard thing. I think most people kind of did that in their lifetime, just first job, whatever. But while I was doing the security guard thing, started being outside, and things be happening. I decided while I'm outside, let me still be on straight and narrow path. Do good here, even if I'm doing something else. And so I went to LaGuardia Community College. I wanted to be a paramedic. I aspired to be a paramedic. The first semester, I got sick with pneumonia,
Mm.
and I missed the whole semester. When I came back, I was so lost, and in the midst of going to school, that's when the incarceration happened. So, but I actually attest that to my health before the incarceration, because had I not been sick, I would have been more focused. Um, that would have gave me a different perspective and probably kept me more busy on a positive note. So on the negative tip, where I looked for positivity within it, being incarcerated and having sickle cell was very tough, but I do believe that everybody should be treated fairly. Nobody should be excluded, and so I wasn't excluded from anything that happened in jail. So it wasn't the worst time of my life, but it was the time of my life that made me realize how much freedom means to me, as well as the care and concern for your health, how much that matters. Um, Being in there, I hooked up with dudes that was having me working now, and the good thing about that is coming out, I still got muscle memory to still go to the gym and stuff. But the bad thing was I was getting sick just from working out. I'll get into a fight and get in crisis, things of that nature, where it was kind of redundant, because it's like I know these things, I know it's triggering it, but I can't avoid these things as well. So it was just developing the mindset of get through it. A lot of people have an issue where they'll come out of jail and outside world doesn't a- account for them. Like they can't get back in and reacclimate to their environment. And sadly, sometimes they'll go back inside. I was in jail for 2 years, and within that time frame, I've witnessed about 4 to 5 people go home and come back, which is why our recidivism rate is so high. You know, um, that gave me the idea of wanting to be a youth mentor, because a lot of these people, a lot of these youth, a lot of these young men, without guidance, they don't get nowhere. And when it came to my sickle cell, when I would talk to these guys that was in there, a lot of them would honestly respect the fact that, hey, even with your health, you're still on whatever. And so, with that being said, whenever I got sick and I couldn't even tell a CO or get to sick call, they had me. Yo, CO, open the door. We gonna take him. Things of that nature, and it gave me like that brotherhoodly bond that, I'm pretty sure without sickle cell that wouldn't have happened. So I do believe that turning the negative into positive is always a great thing, and using your health and actually taking care of it, but using it to your advantage can help you get to certain places that others can't on a regular path. You know.
Oh man, I've heard so many stories of comeback and triumph, but I don't think I've heard one like that before. And I love the fact that you're not an individual that just sits down and you say, "Hey, I have sickle cell, screw it. Own up to it, do what you got to do, and use as a catalyst because
Hmm.
everything in life can be used for the good or the bad, depending on how you utilize it. And you saw what it was taken from you, and you said, "Nah, let's see what it can give back and how I can use it to give back." That's a beautiful story. And a question came to my mind, and you don't have to answer it, but I want you to think about it. If you're able to answer it, please do. But a question that I've heard asked to me and to many warriors is, "What would life be without sickle cell?" And it's such a unique question when you think about the dynamics of it and the type of people that can answer that question based on their background and what they've went through. Because our story is depending, and some people can say a life before the time, but for most of us, can we? So, is that a question that you think you're able to answer? Like, what would life be like for you if sickle cell wasn't a part of it?
An honest answer is that I can't envision that. Reason being is that sickle cell has been in every part of my life. It's dictated it. It's played a part in education. It's played a part in social activities, in friendships, in relationships, in work, the workplace. It doesn't matter what part of life, what chapter, it's always there. So I can't think of how, life would be like without it. Um, it dictates what I dress. It dictates what I eat. It dictates my routine in the morning just to make sure I feel good throughout the day. Uh, those things I couldn't imagine not doing because it's like this is something I've been going through for 33 years. So there's people that can, like people that I believe diabetes type 2, people with cancer, people who gained a disease, developed a disease, I should say. They can always look back to a time before they had cancer, to a time before they had diabetes. We don't really have that option. Some of us may be able to be like, oh, I could remember before my first pain crisis, but besides that, there isn't no, I can't answer that for sure. I would expect my life to be way different than what it is now. I'll probably be what I wanted to be, maybe a paramedic, maybe a sickle cell pediatrician, who knows? But my whole I couldn't think of life without it for sure. I
And
couldn't think of it.
sadly, that's the answer and the feedback we get from so many warriors. But like you said, not all. Because there are some warriors. I've been acquainted with one young lady didn't have her first crisis until she was around her 30s. So she's able to
Mm-hmm.
think about a land before a time, a time before she had her first crisis. But for the majority of us, we are born into this, and from the time we are young, it's been every part of our life, as you stated,
Mm-hmm.
relationships, school, jobs, the clothes that we wear, the places that we go to, the things that we do. All we know is this. So how are we going to be able to envision anything else but this? All we know that life would be drastically different because without sickle cell, I wouldn't be on this call. I might not be on this call with you. Without sickle
I
cell,
wouldn't know each other.
we might not even know each other, definitely. We're in such different worlds, but at the same time, it's what brings us together. And having these groups, these support groups where we can communicate helps us find common ground where we can have someone to speak to because most people are never going to be able to comprehend what it's like from birth till now, the things that we've had to go through. And it's just a reality that we have to live inside of. Now,
Like, can I give an example of
talk to me.
just a day in the life? Um, for example, if I have school in the morning, I do attend class still. Uh, as soon as I wake up, first thing I have to do is take my meds, check, put this pulse ox on. This directly sends whatever my heart rate and oxygen rate is to the doctor. They'll call me if it's high, they'll call me if it's too low. Go and fill the bath up. The bath. I'm in pain every day, all day. Just off the wake up, it's already there. So I get in the bath. The bath helps relax the body, the muscles, allows you to, catch a break. Get out the bath because I am on a time frame. Now I got to do my stretching. I got to do a quick workout. I got to make sure I'm doing all the things that I can to make sure each limbs of my body are well stretched and well used so that when I'm outside walking or using my arms, it won't be an issue and turn into a crisis. That alone probably takes 2 hours. Once I get outside, because I had to look at the weather and dictate what I'm going to wear, most likely have to put on thermals, extra layers, because, cold is one of our triggers. I still have to make sure I'm carrying a bottle of water every day. And that's a good thing because, I think even people without sickle cell should always hydrate. But I don't drink no soda. I don't eat no red meat. Um, I stick to chicken for real. And I need to do these things because my health was on a decline. I've had a hip replacement. I've had a gallbladder removed. Certain these things play a part in how your lifestyle continues. Um, One of the most darkest times is when they told me, "Hey, you won't be able to walk again unless you get this hip replacement." That alone was, just reckoning because it's like, excuse me, you just told me out as well that getting a hip replacement, you won't walk the same. So things of that nature kind of shapes how you live your life. Granted, I'm healed from my hip replacement now, but it still bothers me from time to time. They also did say that people with younger limbs that get hip replacements, they kind of deteriorate quicker because we use them more often than the elders. So who knows? But I'll do my best to keep going and making sure I'm physically fit. So, and I aspire to inspire others to take the holistic route and get your workout on, get your CMOS in your system, take your ginger shots, take your supplements, your black seed oil, things of that. A lot of these things help that we're not told by doctors or physicians at the time whenever we attend. So they just focus on the medication that's given to them by big pharma. So I think the best way to go is holistic, and that's something I aspire to inspire other sickle cell patients to do. As I continue living my life with sickle cell, I want them to see that, hey, this helps for sure. Creating routine starts. But this is why I can't envision a life without sickle cell.
Mhm. All right. Before we go into the next part, I just want to take a quick moment to shout out two of our sponsors. So one of our sponsors is the Hospital Hostage Helpline. If anyone is in the hospital and you feel for any reason you are not being treated fairly, you can contact the Hospital Hostage Helpline by calling 888-219-3637. They will help you navigate the medical facility and get the care that you need and make sure you're being treated fairly and put doctors on notice that you are a living man or woman that should be treated fairly. They also have documents right now that each individual should take time to fill out with from any background of any medical disparity. These documentation can be added to your epics, your mic charts, but when you go into the hospital, if you go into the hospital, you serve these documents directly to your doctor so they can comprehend that they are responsible for treating you like a man or woman and respecting what you want to happen within your body, which is the medication that you get, the care that you're given, and make sure that you're treated fairly. Patients who've used this form have reported such better care once doctors know they've been placed in notice. Also, our sponsors from our direct company, Love and Fashion. You can visit us at Love and Fashion Apparel and purchase our merch. The sales that we get from our merch help us to continue doing the mission that we're doing today, which is bringing awareness to the sickle cell community by interviewing individuals such as Zaron himself, or organizing community events like our events TCAL, D Cells, and Loy, where we bring awareness to sickle cell awareness. We also visit patients at hospital home and take them food or just give them company when needed, as well as sponsoring individuals to go to college by helping them get their supplies and their books. So if you're looking to make a difference, visit us at loveandfashionapparel.com and wear your love and fashion support proudly and make a difference. Back to Zarin. All right. Now, thank you so far about telling us about your life. But we want to get into the deepness of it. As you know, this is our first episode, and one of the things we're highlighting right now is the standard of care that you are given compared to the standard of care that you expect. As a young individual with so much goals and so much inspiration, just so much intelligence, we can tell as it's dripping off you as you speak that you're well aware of your circumstances and what your body needs. So, on a day to day, tell us what it is for your medical care. How do you keep the pain under control when you're outside the hospital? And give us an idea without the doctor's feedback, just of what is a standard of care that you have seen has been sufficient for you when you're in the hospital that would help you feel better. And this would be a basic standard of care that would keep you up and going if it was able to be administered correctly.
Mhm. Well, to start with the way I take care of myself, the first two things that's always important to us: oxygenation and hydration. Um, Hydration for sure, because we need that blood flow going. But the oxygenation, which is part of the workout, your cardio, getting that helps the blood pumps more. It opens up your, I believe it's called capillaries, and allows it to keep going. And that's something that we truly need, because we all know as sickle cell patients, our cells are deformed shape, and that's what allows them to be sticky and get stuck. Keeping this blood flow open with those two things are primary. Pain management. I am on hydroxyurea. I do take my folic acid, and I am on oxycodone as needed. Usually I'll probably have to take two a day, one in the morning, one at night.
Of the
For the
oxycodone?
for sure.
And what milligram is that, if you don't mind sharing?
I have 15 milligram and 20 milligram. The 20 milligrams is what I take twice a day, and the 15 is as needed. Um, that aside, I also use medical marijuana as a choice, to refrain from taking like oxycodone 15 too much. Because we all know narcotics is addictive. Um, and also, as sickle cell patients, the less you take them, you keep your tolerance low, so that way when you need it, it works. So I do use marijuana as a pain reliever, and specifically indicas. Um, with that being said, I do promote like people drinking their sea moss. I feel like that helps with everything we need going on in our body as far as the proteins and the nutrients that we don't usually get. Now, when it comes to the standard care that I expect from my physicians, um, sadly, these narcotics is all they know to prescribe to us. And as much as they prescribe it to us, is as hard as it is to get. Um, there's a lot of sickle cell patients that have issues getting their medication, especially when it comes to narcotics. When I go to the hospital, because I'm in crisis, because I can't manage my pain at home, the worst part is the ER, because the expected care I would want in the ER, being attended to, getting this IV situated, hydration, um, and pain medication, it becomes uh who's more sick here, rather than each patient as they come, triage, take them, go, keep it going. I believe that there should be a sickle cell care plan in every emergency room. That way, that there isn't an issue for a patient to get their medication. My chart should help, but it's not enough. My doctor specifically, I have a pretty good team. They're from Mount Sinai. Actually, one of the doctors, which is my favorite physician, I followed her from Montefiore, Dr. Charlene Jacobs, and so she's my
Well, I didn't.
her
Can you say that name one more time?
Dr. Charlene Jacobs of Mount Sinai Sickle Cell Clinic.
I don't think the people in the back heard you. Just say that name one more time. Just one more time.
Dr. Charlene Jacobs
So you guys know
of
when
Mount Sinai.
we find a good doctor that is there for a
Mhm.
sickle cell warrior, we want to make sure we highlight them. So Dr. Charlene Jacobs, thank you for taking care of individuals that have sickle cell, like my guy Zaron right here. We want to highlight you because we need more doctors who are doing a good thing out there. So sorry for
Mhm.
interrupting, but Dr. Charlene needed that credit real quick.
No, for sure. She's very impartial, very understanding, and she understands what we go through, even in the ER, and tries to make up for it as much as she can. She's one of the doctors you can call if you're having an issue whenever you're at Mount Sinai. And for all those who don't have a sickle cell doctor, she's one that I would definitely recommend. Um, Mount Sinai Sickle Cell Clinic. Um, but now the issue is say you have a history with the hospital, you might get great care there. What about if we're traveling or we go somewhere else and we end up in a hospital? The care, of course, won't be the same. The way we're treated in the ER, I blame it on two things. The first thing is our skin color. The second thing is the stigma of sickle cell patients pain seeking. Um, that thing I don't really like being or hearing that word or using that pain seeking term because I can't believe a sickle cell patient would come into a hospital to get treated unfairly just for some medication, you know. So that stigma alone is enough to keep nurses away or leave you unattended for a long period of time while you're definitely sick in crisis and things of that nature will get to your mentality. Some of us we deal with it because we got no choice. Some people happen to have advocates, and we try our best, especially Candace's Sickle Cell Fund. They definitely do a great job of advocacy for a lot of sickle cell patients and helping them get through their ER experience. But the problem is we shouldn't be having this issue. It is some of us that have an issue getting IV fluids. Um, that shouldn't be an issue, but there's a standard of care where they feel like we're at the bottom tier of the immune disorder, and cancers usually get the best care. And I feel like if we can get the same level of care as people like cancer patients and leukemia, we would actually experience a better treatment. But until then, this is something we have to fight for, hence what we're called sickle cell warriors, right? For the most part.
Warriors, a title that we live up to because we have to. We don't want to have to be warriors. We don't want to have to fight with doctors and nurses for a basic standard of care. We would like to be treated as every other patient, have a equal access to care. Having to be called warriors, although yes, it shows strength in the community, it also shows the disparity of what we face when we're inside of these hospitals and these places that forces us that at our weakest moment when we're down and beckoning for aid, that we also have to be warriors at that moment. So for all the warriors, please continue to fight because there's going to be a brighter tomorrow. And to all
Mhm.
the doctors out there, if you have a warrior, that simply means you have somebody who hasn't been heard yet. Because if they were heard and their standard of care was given to them, they wouldn't have to be a warrior. They can be what they need to be at that moment, in which is just being a patient that is giving a proper standard of care. So let's work on changing dynamics where we stop having to create warriors and we start remembering that we're all just men and women looking for help. All right.
Mhm.
Now, me personally, when I go into the hospital, I have to fight. Like really, I have to fight just to get medication that I need. That history has proven time and time over and over that it works with me. We know that morphine doesn't really aid me. We know that Toradol doesn't really aid me. Although those medications may aid other warriors because we all have body different dynamics and structures, they don't particularly work for me. What works for me is Dilaudid 2. And it's not a low dosage from what I'm hearing about Dilaudid, but from what I'm learning, it's also not a very high dosage. But I know there's warriors who get other levels of dosages of Dilaudid, such as yourself, that is a little bit higher than mine. And I can only imagine the pushback that you get when you let them know what it is that for your standard of care gets you to normalcy where you can just be at ease. So what
Mhm.
is it like when you express to the doctors that you know what, hey, I know what works for me. This has a proven track record of working for me. It would be great if you guys utilize what worked for me. And what happens after that? How do they respond? What do they do? What's the feedback? Is there pushback or are they there for you?
Mhm. It's usually It's usually an issue because of their visual comprehension, right? They'll come in, they'll see you. If you don't look sick enough, they don't think you need it. I know, starting off, 2 milligrams of dilaudid with fluids, right? I need that at least 3 times. There's an issue just to get 2. I'm gonna need 6 overall. You get what I'm saying? The issue sometimes, hey, if you get comfortable enough, you fall asleep. Oh, they're not feeling too sick. They might not need the next dose. Oh, you're on your phone or doing something to take your mind off the pain. Oh, they're all right. They don't need other dose. We might just discharge them. They look okay. Just tell them to drink fluids at home or something. That narrative comes a lot. I try not to argue with the doctors a lot. It's either you guys work with me, I'm gonna just leave because to deal with the unfairness is kind of annoying, and it brings distress and it makes you feel like you're less of a person, you know? Because it's like you wouldn't argue with the cancer patient if they're asking for this medication. Oh, it's no problem. So why are you arguing with me? But again, like I said, the first thing that they see when we come in is the skin color. So there's already a negative connotation in their mind where it's like we have to treat them differently anyway. Your body structure and body type's different, so you don't need what they need. And I come across that a lot, but it's usually just in the ER. Once I'm admitted, I don't have that issue for real. They tend to work with me once they hear me, once they acknowledge that, hey, I know about my health as well. I know what I need. I know what's going on. I'm comprehending, and this is what I need at the moment. But in that ER, it's first come, first serve. Colors last, and you visually, hey, you know, you look okay. That's how that goes. It's 9 times out of 10, if you're not throwing a tantrum, if you're not shaking in pain, they don't think you're really having a sickle cell crisis. It was a time where I came into a hospital because I couldn't walk. I believe the hospital was St. Barnabas in the Bronx. But the ambulance took me to the nearest hospital instead of my hospital. I couldn't walk. I came in on a wheelchair. And I'm like, hey, this is usually my care plan. I showed them my chart and what I got my last admission. They were like, oh, we got to contact your doctor. And we also got to check to see if you're sickling. Now, as sickle cell patients, we know you don't have to be sickling to have a crisis. For sure. It won't be on your bloodstream, even if we're feeling pain. And guess what? You use that to determine if I need it or not, need any medication or not. I couldn't even get an IV until they got the results back from seeing if I'm sickling or not, which I was. So then they gave me, instead of what I need, what they think I need, which was point 0.4 of dilaudid.
Okay, so you normally try to get 2, 3 times, it adds up to 6 in total, but instead they felt like giving you point 0.4 would be sufficient based on the labs they took of you.
With that being said, the first thing I did was like, hey, I'm not going to take this. I know if once I take this, that voids me from getting any other medication for probably the next 2 to 4 hours. Oh, well, we can't give you nothing else. Are you refusing? I'm not taking this because I need to speak to the doctor now and let them know this is not efficient for me. They came back with some Tylenol and water. So I'm like, okay, is there a way that you guys can transfer me to my hospital? You done spoke with my doctors and all. Like, is there a way you guys can transfer me? Oh, sorry, we don't have private transportation. Like, they don't have they have ambulatory services, but I guess they don't travel outside the borough. Whatever. The doctor said to me, well, there is a way if you are able to take a cab, then you should be able to get there. I came in on a wheelchair. What makes you think I could go get in a cab? So it was things like that that, like I said, it makes you feel less of a person because it's like you see me struggling, you see my suffering, and you're still nonchalant about a situation where you can help me. And so I ended up leaving. And it wasn't on some discharge myself. I actually, hey, I'm doing okay. I'm feeling better. I'm okay. Are you sure? For sure. And I'm lying through my teeth. My pain is on 100, but I'm trying to stand. I'm trying to walk. I'm okay. They discharge me. I actually do get in a cab and go to Mount Sinai, where I was treated more fairly because I called ahead, let them know, hey, I'm coming in. This is the crisis. So there was already a team ready for me, which I appreciate. So yeah, those type of experiences, like I said, they could bring you down and make you not want to attend the ER and make you want to just suffer at home. You know, ER is usually the last resort. And I don't know how to change the structures of these ER until we can re-educate some of these health professionals. As much time that I attended ER, I ended up on Mount Sinai's PFAC for the ER. So
You
we
said
come up with
feedback?
PFAC, Patient and Family Advocacy. I mean, I forgot what the C stands for. But it's a PFAC, and it's for their emergency room. We try to figure out what we can do to make things better, and I'm hoping that with my input, the ER in Mount Sinai gets better and better, and more sickle cell patients will feel comfortable to actually come here instead. That's a big thing for sickle cell patients because we all have this experience in the ER, no matter where we go. So whatever I
Well,
can do to do my part, you know.
there we go. Simply do your part. So now, what would be the top three things you would like to see implemented, changed, or discussed in the ER or about the ER that you believe would help make the ER setting a better place for individuals like us?
Okay, so I spoke of this in the PFAC for Mount Sinai. The first thing was etiquette, proper etiquette with these nurses. It may not be understandable at first, but everybody that comes to the ER are usually suffering. They're sick. They're worried. There's a time and place for everything, and I believe that if nurses could execute proper etiquette, it would make patients feel better. But sometimes, they bring their personal life to work. They may be laughing, chatting, doing everything in front of these patients. One patient could be dying and you're laughing and having a good time. They probably need help, or they're probably feeling ill to the point that, damn, my life is bad and they over there having a good time. I wonder what's gonna happen to me. That causes even more anxiety. It's like I said, there's a time and place for everything, just not in front of patients. You're in the emergency room. You guys could go in the hallway. It's a lot. You have opportunities to talk to each other and have these conversations outside of the emergency room. So that's one thing that could probably give better emotional stability to patients. That's one,
What
especially.
just to go in that I've been sick and laying there pressing intercom and waiting for help. And while laying there, I can tell you stories about this one planning a date on coming up during the weekend with her boyfriend, and this one wanting to go shopping. And they're saying that they're so busy they have no time to do anything. But I can literally tell you what you're about to do this weekend, and you're mad at me. I'm an eavesdropping instead of you doing your job. It is not the time and place to discuss that. Let's have some better etiquette for real.
So that's the first thing. And within the etiquette too, there's a way that patients should be treated, no matter what and who they are. And when I say this to say even including homeless people. And sometimes nurses would treat a homeless person like a homeless person. They're fearful to go treat them. They're scared because they smell. They want to stay away. That is not proper etiquette at all because it doesn't matter who and what the patient is. You can put on a mask. You can put on gloves. You don't have to do that. That may lower this person's esteem, lower how they feel, And sometimes mental health can affect your physical health. So doing things like that is not okay. And I believe proper etiquette training could, you know, help with that. The second thing I told the PFAC was having a para, somebody between nurses and the patient that will always keep a line of communication, because sometimes nurses will have more than one patient, right? Um, a para would probably be someone who is already educated in the medical field, but someone that can keep communication line open, keep you. It reduces anxiety and it keeps patients from wondering where their medication is, where's their doctor, what's next, what's my test results, can I tell somebody that I'm in pain? Like, this helps with communication in a great way, because patients are always calling for a nurse or a doctor. This is what we do. Hey, excuse me, hello, especially in emergency room. And these nurses be overworked. I'm not gonna lie, like, they'll be overworked. They'll have a lot of patients, a big workload, and sometimes they can't attend to all at once, or they can't see everything that's going on at once. So while they're attending to one patient, there's another patient that's been calling and crying for 30 minutes. A para would be somebody within communication who could be like, hey, this one's calling for you. So, hey, after you finish here, he needs his medication, like things of that nature. They can give you your test results before a nurse does. Hey, I just got it back. You're doing this is what X, Y, and Z. Hell, you know, that would help with the communication factor. That would reduce anxiety, and it would stop a lot of patients from throwing tantrums and stuff, because 9 times out of 10, that's what's going on. We don't see nobody, we don't hear nobody. Now we be feeling some type of way because we're suffering and there's nobody to care for me. So now I'm screaming and now I'm helping or now I'm carrying on and such, just for attention, so that you can finally attend to me. You know, I've had to do these things a couple of times. Excuse me, hello, is there a doctor on the just for attention? As soon as they come to me, hey, how you doing? I'm just in really pain. I really need my medication. I haven't seen nobody in 2 hours, please. And they be so confused, like, oh, I thought he was aggressive. No, miss, I'm angry. That's the difference. I'm in pain. I'm suffering. I'm not a aggressive person. I'm talking to you softly, but when you wasn't here for the last 2 hours, this is what that caused, the anxiety. It was a buildup. So a para would help. Um, Thirdly, for sickle cell patients specifically, a sickle cell care plan. Everybody knows about cancer. Everybody heard of leukemia. Not everybody is educated in sickle cell. So if each ER can have a standard care plan for sickle cell patients, starting with pain and hydration, those two things. IV, get their IV started high, hydrate them with saline or whatever solution they need to give them, and let's find the next pain medication that they need just to get them in a comfortable state. Then we can carry on with the blood tests, X-rays, whatever the fuck they need. With that being said, I do believe that that would help. So I don't know. I really believe that within the ER, there's things that as patients we shouldn't be able to see or hear. You know, there's fear, anxiety, anger, sadness. There's a lot of emotions going on. Um, if these doctors could acknowledge it, these nurses could acknowledge that, especially when it comes to sickle cell patients, this sickle cell care plan will definitely be a good factor for us. Um, just for every nurse to, hey, oh, he said he's a sickle cell, and then boom, care plan. They probably never heard of it before, but now they will, because there's a care plan right here. Standard care plan of telling you what a sickle cell patient is, what they need, what's going on. That should be. It's like I feel like that should be a book in every ER for real. Or put it on a wall or something. Because again, everybody knows about cancer. Everybody heard about leukemia, but not everybody knows what sickle cell is and how to treat it. So
You know what? I like those three: etiquette, a parrot, and a care plan. These sound like some great options that we can utilize to make the emergency room where it seems that a lot of the issues are taking place. So thank you for sharing that. So before we go, I would like you to leave one final message and to put it out in the world. But let the average individual know, and let the nurses and doctors with these negative stigmas knows. Give them a word. Give them something from a sickle cell warrior's point of view to let them know just who we are, and what would be a good world for us to be in.
Okay. So, like, the first part of this of understanding is listen. As a sickle cell patient, every day I fight as I wake once I wake up. The best part of my day would be someone acknowledging the strength that I'm putting in to keep walking, keep standing, keep going through despite the pain I'm in. If our nurses and doctors can understand or comprehend, have some empathy after understanding that this is what we suffer from and go through every day, the conversations between us would be better. The communication would, and the dialect would be better. Um, there's a lot of doctors that would fight for us, but don't know better. And I feel like this would be a good way to let them know that, listen, as sickle cell patients, that every day that we wake up and fight because our bodies are working against us, we have a great mental fortitude just to, get out and go do what we have to do every day. And if you could give us that acknowledgement that we even made it to a doctor's appointment today, or we even made it to a classroom today, or we even made it to work today, that alone should be enough to give us, credit where it's due. Um, with that being said, I don't want them to think that just because we're fighting and showing all this strength that we're okay. I want you to know that this is something that we do because we have no choice. We have no choice if we want to continue living our life. So, as doctors, I would ask you to help us make our life more comfortable. No, we don't want to be on narcotics. I understand that big pharma pushes this on you guys. And it's not always, the first option for you. But please give us alternatives because these medications do damage over time. Do you understand that giving us morphine or oxycodone from 12 years old, 13 years old, that at 33 years old, the 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 level of, let me see, the level that I built on not taking it anymore compared to going through life and having to take it 4 to 6 times a day, that's a fight, you know? Um, us looking for alternatives, you can help us with that. You can promote other healthy things besides just medication. Um, you can promote things so simple like alkaline water, like these things is things that we need. You can tell us, hey, we can be more active or do X, Y, and Z. Don't always push the medication on us because again, we're already fighting throughout the day to get through our day. The least you can do is make us more comfortable. The best you can do is acknowledge the strength that we have. And I feel like that conversation between us and, doctors around the world would be great to have. And I feel like that will also help build a more better foundation of doctors that fight for us. Some doctors will go the extra mile, and we can probably end up getting more support. But we have to let these doctors know that, we need your empathy. We need your understanding and comprehension of what we're going through. You know exactly what sickle cell is. You guys got it in the study book. We're dealing with it. So, with you knowing exactly what it is and how it affects us, and us dealing with it and walking around and moving and coming here and talking to you and seeing this, and please, the least you can do, make us more comfortable. That's what I would tell them.
All right. This is Voices of Sickle Cell, brought to you by Love and Fashion. I'm your host, Trey Lover, and you just heard it from Zaron. The life experience of being a sickle cell warrior, the some things we can look forward to, hopefully to have a better future dealing with sickle cell. This episode was brought to you by Love and Fashion. Contact us for all your event planning and service need. 5% of all profits goes back to the community, helping individuals with sickle cell. This is the Voice of Sickle Cell, brought to you by Love and Fashion. This is Trey Lover, and we want to tell you, keep on spreading the word. And to all of our warriors, we love you, we support you, and let's stick together.
Stay strong.